Alrighty, it is that time for Total Woman Experience. This is the show when we talk about the total woman, marriage, motherhood, ministry, and me time. And so, if you are a woman, then this show, this day is just for you. And so, you guys come on in the room, whether you are joining from Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, then I do ask that you like, follow, share, and feel free to engage with this conversation on today. If you've not already connected with me, then I do ask for you to do so. And in fact, it'd be good to know who you're dealing with, right? I am your host and transformational empowerment architect, Tennille M. Jackson, and you can find and follow me across social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, or YouTube. I'm there. I'm everywhere. At my name is Tennille. And once you get to YouTube, do me a favor and take a quick extra second and hit that subscribe button. And so today we're not going to drag it out. I'm very excited about today's topic. The topic is one thing I wish someone told me before I became a mom. One thing you wish you knew. Now, here's the thing. I know that there is a book that's called What to Expect When You're Expecting, right? And even though I never read the book in its totality, I think many mothers received that book. So you find out you're pregnant, and at some point, first, second, third trimester, most people are gifted the book for baby showers, or the curiosity of most new moms lead them to purchasing this book, rent it out of a library. I might have just dated myself because do people even still go to libraries? That might be an entirely different conversation. But many people read the book, What to Expect While You're Expecting. And so this book pretty much goes, it discusses like, all of the different changes that is gonna happen with your body, because again, as a mom, you go from before this child, this person invaded your space, and I mean your body. Like you had your own times to go to sleep. Now you get pregnant, you got a little person inside of you, and you're tired more than you've ever been. You used to have your own eating schedule, and now you have a little person inside of you, and now you're eating more frequently than you used to eat. And not just eating more, but you can possibly even be eating differently. I remember with my first daughter, oh, I craved peppermint all the time. Now, I naturally liked peppermint, but with my first daughter, oh, it was just ridiculous. Like I needed to have bags and bags of peppermint. Let me tell you how bad it was. Like before my first daughter, I never had one cavity. After I gave birth to her, I probably had at least 4 or 5 cavities because I was constantly craving peppermint. With my second daughter, she hated onions. Like I wasn't a huge fan of onions, but I didn't mind if onions was on things. When I was pregnant with her, I could not have onions. And I never ate Chinese food. To this day, I still don't. But when I was pregnant with my second daughter, that's what I would crave, Chinese food, but like it was Chinese food and ravioli. So I would need like the canned ravioli and mix it with Chinese food. What? Who does that? Pregnant women. That's who. And then my third daughter, oh, she loved onions. So like I could eat raw onions, grilled onions. It was so weird. And with my youngest daughter, tuna. It was tuna all the time. Now, of all of those different cravings with those different daughters, to this day, my youngest daughter still loves tuna. The other ones could care less about, like the next to youngest. She doesn't deal with onions like that. She can't eat them, not eat them. The next to oldest daughter doesn't eat Chinese food, much less ravioli. The oldest daughter doesn't eat peppermint. So you see how I'm saying like things change when you get pregnant because your hormones are all over the place. And so, this book can warn you that some people can kind of try to tell you that, but you never really know it until you experience it. But today's topic isn't even about that. I'm not talking about the stuff that your body goes through as a result of being pregnant. I'm not even talking about the giving birth, right? Because again, with my own experience, I never knew anything about C-sections, and this just kind of goes to show my naivete, right? Like I knew that babies were had, but I came up in a generation where we didn't discuss, quote unquote personal matters like this. So I never knew like how many women in my family had given natural birth versus had C-sections. Like we just knew you was pregnant and then you came home and you had a baby. All of the how and all of that, we were never told that. It was just, here's your new cousin, or you know what I mean? Like there's just a new addition to the family. But how they arrived, that was never we never knew that information, okay? And so for my daughters, I had all four were C-sections. The first one, we thought that I was going to have her early because I started dilating early. She was due November 12th, but I want to say it was October 31st. I actually started dilating. I was 2 centimeters dilated. So my doctor, he was like, oh, she's going to be here early. And so next thing you know, like he's checking on me by day by day. And matter of fact, no. It was October 17th. That's what it was. I'm sorry. October 17th is when I started opening up. And so he's like, okay, well, she's probably going to be here early. So now I came back in the week after, and he's like, no, you still 2 centimeters, keep walking. Come back the week after, no, you still 2 centimeters. And at this point, it wasn't keep walking. It was, we're going to bring you in and we're going to see, we're basically going to have you go through labor. So I went through all of the Pitocin, the Demerol, went through all of that. I don't remember if it was 13 or 16 hours of labor before they end up calling it because she ended up being in distress. And so they're like, okay, now you have to have an emergency C-section. Now, mind you, my entire pregnancy, nothing about a C-section was ever discussed. We didn't talk about C-sections. That was never like a birthing plan in place. It was just, okay, you're pregnant and she's due November 12th. And so we'll see what ends up happening. It was never, okay, well, this could be something that happens. This is what a C-section is. And so when I was told, okay, she's in distress, so we have to have an emergency C-section, like now I'm even more stressed because I have no idea what a C-section is. I'm feeling like I did something wrong. I didn't know anything. So now I'm crying. I'm nervous. This is my first daughter. I had just lost my mom 2.5 months prior. So my emotions are all over the place, if you could imagine. So the point is, I end up having the C-section, and my doctor is like, well, don't worry, because the way that I cut you, you can still have your other children, provided everything is okay. You can have your other children naturally, okay? He's like, it's only after that second C-section that you wouldn't be able to try natural birth. If you have two C-sections, he told me that thereafter, I would just have, the only option I would have would be to give birth naturally, right? I'm sorry. I would not have natural birth as an option. I could only do C-sections if the next birth was a C-section, but he's like, he didn't expect that that would be a thing, right? So thank goodness I did not. Like maybe I should have had him put his money where his mouth was, right? Because the second daughter, everything was going according to plan. So first daughter was due November 12th. She actually got here November 2nd. The second daughter was due December 17th. And on my last visit, which was the week before on December 10th, I went in to have my last visit, and it was determined that I had placenta previa. Now, again, I had no idea what that was. This was nothing that was ever discussed. Not, I'm not even just saying in my family with my doctor. Nobody ever said any of these different things, and so he didn't even tell me that I had placenta previa at the time. What he told me was, "I need you to go home and get your bags because you're having this baby today." What? And so, if you could imagine, I was so totally shocked because that appointment, my husband did not go to the doctor with me because I just thought that this was a standard appointment. As you get closer to it, I told him, do what you got to do, and I'll be back. And then we'll be prepared because he had to work or whatever. So I'm like, you ain't got to take off of this. This is the last appointment, and so just as long as you ready for next week, this is what I'm thinking. Well, the doctor's like, no, ma'am, you're finna have this baby today. I didn't even have my bags packed. Judge me later. I know I was a week away, but no, I was thinking I still had 7 days. So now I got to go home. I got a 2-year-old at home. I got to find out what to do with her. I got to, you know what I mean, making all of these shifts. And he's like, just get back because we having a baby today. So I go home, do whatever I need to do, get back to I tell my husband, we get back to the hospital. So the nurse is like, well, do you know why it is that you had to, like, why you're having a C-section? I'm like, I have no clue other than the doctor said it. And she's like, well, you have placenta previa. What is that? Well, your placenta has shifted so that because basically I was already starting to open up, which is what we wanted, right? And so it was like, and I remember in October, matter of fact, I remember in October, he was telling me that I was starting to open up already, but she wasn't due until December. And so he put me on emergency bed rest in October. There was nothing mentioned about the placenta then. He just told me because I was already starting to open that he wanted for me to, because it was too early. It's October, she's not due till December. So he's like on bed rest. That was the only thing that I knew about. That's the only thing we discussed. So come to find out, my placenta had shifted. And so if I would have given birth naturally, my placenta would have come out first, which basically would have probably ended in fatality for both me and the baby because you end up hemorrhaging to death. I didn't know. Had never. So now I'm like, OMG. So they're like, that's the reason why we have to have this emergency C-section because your body actually is opening. You are dilating. So we need to get this baby out before she naturally comes out. So now instead of being born December 17th, she was here on December 10th, right? And so now at this point, I can't have natural birth anymore. All I can do is C-sections. So with the next daughter, it was the same thing, even though it didn't matter, but I had placenta previa with the third daughter. And the fourth daughter, there was no shifting of the placenta. But again, by the third and fourth daughters, I was just scheduling the surgery. And so the point just is that nobody really talks about, I don't feel that nobody really talks about C-sections. No one talks about everything that your body has to go through to recover from them. And I wish that was something that I knew. Like, I remember having this conversation with my sister after I had given birth. My sister had my nephew 6, 7 years before I had my first daughter, but she had given birth naturally. So then she had her second child the same year I had my third child. They were born a month apart. She had him naturally. That was my third C-section. So then her last son was born the same year of my last daughter. They're 6 months apart. And I don't remember if she had to have a C-section with him or not. But the point is, I remember after her second son, she was saying how, oh, you're so lucky because you get to schedule your C-section, this, and I wish I had a C-section. And I remember saying to her, girl, bye. You would rather give birth through your mouth than to have a C-section, okay? And maybe that's not every mother's experience. It was mine because it's not just the actual surgery, but the epidurals, like the fact that you have to be poked in your back to numb you, right? Because whereas with a natural birth, an epidural is an option. So do you want to, have drugs so that you can feel it or not? Well, when you're having a C-section, you don't have a choice. You have to have an epidural, right? So the first and second times, I don't really remember what that experience was like, but I remember for that fourth time, they poked me in my back 8 different times, literally 8, because I was counting. Because I remember after the eighth one, I said, listen, I'm not trying to be mean, but you're going to have to go get somebody else. Matter of fact, it was the seventh time because I was like, if after this next time, the eighth one, I said, if you don't get this one, then you're going to have to get somebody else. Because again, by this point in my mind, I'm an expert. I know how to sit here. I know how to put my back so that, arch my back so that you should be able to find whatever you're looking for. Because I done did this before. And you steadily poking me, poke, 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 poke. And I'm feeling it each time. And here's the thing, like once that epidural wears off, you feel that. You feel that pain thereafter, right? And so nobody talks about this stuff though. Like everybody just makes it seem like, oh, it's just so, the only inconveniences that you have is that your body, obviously your body grows, your body gets bigger. You understand that if the baby's in here, the baby has to come out. But I think a lot of people just only have that conversation about natural childbirth, like just being able to naturally push the baby out. Well, what happens if it doesn't happen that way? And if I'm just gonna be dead honest with you guys, like 1,000% transparent, it wasn't even just a physical adjustment that I had to make in having the C-section. It was really mental and emotional. It really took a toll on me because, and I feel myself getting emotional now. Forever, I thought there was something wrong with me as a woman. I constantly questioned what's wrong with me. Why can't I just push out the baby? Like everybody else I knew, I didn't know any other woman at that point who had had C-sections. To my knowledge, I thought everybody in my family had given birth naturally. I found out later that that wasn't the case, but I didn't know prior. So I'm thinking that it's something wrong with me. And I'll never forget when I had my first daughter and I found out that I had to have a C-section because I thought I had done something wrong. And I'm like, because I was trying, you know what I mean? Like you're going through labor and that's already, it's painful, it's labor, you know what I mean? And so I've already in my mind, okay, I thought she was getting here early because I started dilating October 17th. And I'm doing the walking, I'm doing all the things that I'm being told to do. I know that my body was 2 centimeters. I know you're supposed to get to 10 centimeters. So I'm like, I don't understand why I'm not opening. And so, okay, fine. 2 weeks go by. So now he's saying, okay, let's just go ahead and let's make this happen. I'm not giving you any objections. I'm compliant. I'm here, and we going through, okay, just regular, let's see if these contractions pick up. They don't. All right, we finna give you some Demerol. Nothing. Okay, we finna give you Pitocin. So now to the point, now she's distressed all the while. I'm just wondering why is my body not responding the way it's supposed to respond, And and obviously, like I said, I just lost my mom 2.5 months earlier. And I was just like, I just so wanted my mom to be there because I felt like that she would know what to say. And I had people, like my husband was in the room, my best friend was in the room, my sister were there. But it was like They were just there. And it's not that I didn't appreciate their presence, but nobody understood where I was mentally, you know? And I don't know this nurse's name, but I'll never forget what she said to me. Like, she could see the worry, the concern, the fear, the all of the above. She could see it all in my face. And she grabbed my hand and she said, "Let me tell you something." She said, because I remember asking her if I had done something wrong. And she was telling me no. And she said, "Let me tell you something. It does not matter how your child gets here, whether you push them or we have to assist you. At the end of the day, what matters is what you do once that child is out of you. So you may not be able to control how they get here, but you can control what happens once she gets here, right? And so I want to share that before I even go any further. I want to share those words with a mom who may be expected and you don't know, you might be just as dumbfounded as I was. And again, this was over 20 years ago. So I understand that now technology is a thing. So everybody probably knows everything now. But in the event that nobody told you about C-sections, in the event that you may have to have one, let me echo those sentiments to you. It does not matter how you have to have that baby. It does not make you less of a woman because you have to have a C section. Is what you do once that baby gets here. Make sure that you love on that baby, that you do all that you can, what's in your control, regardless of how much we might be doing the right things, the things that we think are right. We genuinely don't know why our bodies do what they do. Like, they can't explain it. Like, my doctor, all the degrees he may have had, and in his hospital, they say he was the best doctor. Nobody can explain to you why you get placenta previa. I had four daughters. Two daughters I had placenta previa, two daughters I didn't. There is no medical reason, or at least none that I received. You can't control what your bodies do. So how that baby gets here, that might be beyond your control. You can be doing everything right, waiting for that due date. You might go into labor early, it might be 1 or 2 weeks later. So you can't control what happens before. You can't control the how they get here, but you can definitely control what you do once they get here. And so I want to encourage every mother at this point. We're talking about things you wish you knew before you became a mom, on today's Total Woman Experience. And I've just been very transparent, more than I thought that I wasn't planning on being this transparent. Not that I was planning online, but I wasn't even planning on going here. This wasn't even what I wanted to talk about today. But I guess it very well may be that somebody may have needed to hear this. But I want for you all to know that this is real. Having a C-section is not most people's first choice. Some people may not have had the same experience that I had, but having four C-sections, it became very painful because each time it took longer and longer to heal. Scar tissue never, you know what I mean? You're never 100% the same anymore after that. You know what I mean? Um, but you find a way to keep going. Why? Because we are women, we are awesome, and that's what we do. And so, again, if you are just now tuning in, I want to thank you so much for tuning in a Total Woman Experience. But I also want to share with you the opportunity. If you like this type of conversation and you believe that you need this type of community or support of women who understand what you're going through, then I invite you to visit my website. My name is Tennille.com, and join I'm glad to be a woman. That is the community of women that I have created, where we are there to support, encourage, and celebrate one another. Because, again, regardless of your age, race, political experience, relationship status, at the end of the day, nobody knows what it means to be a woman other than another woman. And so, if you are looking for a community where it's not about your status, it's not about whether or not you're a volunteer or CEO, it's not about whether you're married or divorced or single or in a situation, like, all we care about is that you're a sister. You're one of us. And again, I don't care if you black, white, red, blue, purple, or any other color. If you are a woman, you truly belong in that group. So you can see more about it by going to the website. My name is Tennille.com. And to make it even better than that, at this point and for a limited time, you can get access to all four of the communities that I have joined. So not just I'm glad to be a woman, but also APS, which is for creatives, and PACES, which is for faith walkers, and Reset Room for those who are looking to get a better start, a fresh start on their life. All four of those communities are accessible to you for just $39 a month for a limited time only. And so, if you want to know what comes with all of that, then I invite you to, again, go to the website, which is my name is Tennille.com. And again, if you have not already connected with me across social media platforms, I invite you to go to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube and follow me. Find me at My Name is Tennille and hit that follow button. And when you're on YouTube, take a quick extra second and hit the subscribe button. But let's get back into today's show, where we are talking about one thing I wish someone told me before I became a mom. And so, for the first piece of this show, I talked about having a C section and what all that meant. That is not just the physical adjustment that you have to make, understanding that your body is going to be cut open, understand that you're going to be poked in your back with this epidural, and that it's going to take some time for you to heal. So, when you give birth naturally, I want to say maybe 1 to 3 days you're in the hospital. And that's only if something goes wrong. My understanding is that, like, the next day, you're typically gone. You have the baby day one, as long as everything is okay, then you come out day two. Well, that's not the same. It's not the same as when you have a C-section, because you've had a major surgery. So now, in addition to having to adjust to being a mom and having this little person that's dependent upon you, you have to also make the adjustment of healing, because your body has been cut in half. Like, literally, you are cut across. And so now, like, within the hospital, they're going to keep you 3 to 4 days, because they have to make sure that all of your organs and everything are functioning properly. They want to make sure that your bowels are working, that you're passing gas, that all of these things are happening. And provided that you're doing that and you're able to walk around and things like that, then by day 3, 4, after having that baby, you're out. But guess what? It takes another 6 to 8 weeks before you are fully healed. And these are things like, it seems like this is probably my share for the day. It looks like I may not get to what I thought I was going to talk about, because the more that I talk about it, the more things that I wish were said. Like, when you have a C-section, this is a major surgery. This is not, okay, I had the baby today and tomorrow let me start running around, which, when you have a baby naturally, that's pretty much it. Like, and again, it's not to minimize it at all, because baby, becoming a mom, again, I don't care whether you had a C-section or you gave birth naturally. That's a whole adjustment that you have to make. However, when we're talking about recovery period, most mothers who give birth naturally, it's nothing really to recover from, because once the baby is pushed out, then again, unless you had something else to go wrong, That's what you're laying and you're good, you can walk and everything like that. Well, after you've had a C-section, your body has been torn open. So now, not only has it been torn open, you've been poked in your back. So your back is hurting, your front is hurting. And so, oh, but I still have a life that I have to tend to. You know what I mean? Like, I got this little person who don't care that I just went through all of what I went through. Like, they don't care that you don't feel like moving or getting up, because every 2 hours they need a bottle, they need to be changed. You know what I mean? And so, if you don't have a support system, it's going to affect you that much more. And so, these are things that I wish I would have known, because the truth is that I didn't have an extensive support system. You know what I mean? I didn't have somebody who was, I've seen movies, and not even just seen movies, since becoming a grandmother myself. The support that I offer for my daughter, I didn't have that. Like, when my daughter gave birth to my grandson, and she had a really tumultuous pregnancy as well. She was giving birth that turned into having to have a C-section. And this isn't my story to tell, so I won't tell it, but just suffice it to say that I'm literally around the clock care for her. Like, I'm doing all of the heavy lifting while she's healing and recovering. Well, I didn't have that. My husband was still working, so he went to work every day, and I had this baby. I didn't have a mother. I had this baby. I, there was nobody that I had. I had a stepdaughter who was what, 11 or 12 at the time. She's in school full time. You know what I mean? So I had to kind of get up and move around a lot quicker than the doctors probably would have wanted me to. I didn't have the ability to just lay down for 6 to 8 weeks and, just let your body heal. No, because I'm at home taking care of this child. And such was the case every time I had another baby. And my daughters are 2 years apart. So they were born October, November, December, and January. So it was November '02, December '04, January '06, and October '08. The only one of them that was playing was the first one, right? But you just figure it out, you know what I mean? And it's like, it was hard. So I'm not gonna lie and say it was easy. And I think that a lot of times you have these brochures, you have these books that just talk about the wonderful side of motherhood. And let me tell you, I love my girls with everything that is in me. Okay. Um, like, I haven't even talked about some of the other extensive situations that happened within my pregnancies. But every hardship that I went through, I would go through it again for their sakes. But I'm not going to paint a picture and say, oh, it was just so wonderful. That C-section, oh, it was a breeze. Lies. And so, for anybody who thinks that you prefer to have a C-section than to give birth, let me be the one to tell you. Now, there might be somebody else that say, oh, well, mine wasn't that bad. That was not my experience. I would highly recommend natural childbirth to everybody. Like, unless there was some type of potentially fatal situation, but the hours of labor that you have to go through, and again, this is not a competition, these are just facts. When you are able to give birth naturally, you are in labor for hours, even if the hours become days. You're in labor. But once you push that baby out, you're done. C-section, it's the opposite. No, we don't have to go through hours of labor. With my first daughter, I did. But again, that was because we did not foresee a C section. So I had to go through, we were trying to push her out naturally. With the second daughter, I didn't have a choice. That last appointment said, hey, you finna have a C section now. Okay. With the third and fourth ones, we knew by that point that wasn't even on the table. Giving birth naturally wasn't on the table. So, like, once I found out I was pregnant, I think it was either that same appointment or the next appointment, I was picking my due dates. So where you'll have people to feel that, oh, well, I'd rather be able to choose and pick my due dates. Let me tell you something. I would rather like being ignorant of the fact and having gone through the fact. I would rather be surprised when the baby gets here and now knowing what it equals to have a C-section. I'd rather be surprised and I would go through 15, 20, 34 hours of labor if it meant that once I finished and I got that push, that was it, than to actually have to endure a C-section. Because whereas no, we don't feel the pain, your body is numb. You feel, as they say, you feel pressure, but you don't feel pain. So you feel the pressure when they extract the baby from your body. You definitely feel that. Oh, but let me tell you what you feel the more. When that medication wears off, you feel it. When you are in the hospital, they try to make sure that they keep you with Vicodin or morphine or like oxycodone or ibuprofen, like 800 milligram. Like they try to make sure that they keep you heavily medicated those first 3 to 4 days because your body is in excruciating pain. Okay. Like, and I ain't trying to scare nobody, but I'm the type of person, I don't know how to sugarcoat, and I like for people to talk to me directly like that too. I wish this would have been explained to me. Not that it would have changed whether or not I had a baby. I always wanted a lot of kids, but it would have helped me to prepare myself. You know what I mean? Because I am the type of person, okay, if I know that something is going to be hard, then I want to mentally prepare for it. I was not prepared at all. At all, the first or the second time. Because the first time I thought that I was going to give birth, and then the game plan was just shifted and changed unexpectedly. The second time, it was a surprise, like, oh, I'm thinking I'm going to give birth, and then, oh, no, you're not. By the third and fourth time, it was different mentally because I could prepare myself. I already knew, okay, this is the thing, what the thing gonna go on my back. They gonna cut me. I already know, like in terms of, my tasks. I know what to do. I know just about how long I'm gonna be out. So now I can kind of mentally prepare for whatever adjustments I have to make. You know what I mean? So if I know that my baby is going to be born here, then I'm going to prepare my household to kind of be ready for that shift. And when I say the shift, not just that there's a new child, but the fact that I'm about to be out of order, out of service. Like I can't do nothing for you for the next at least 4 weeks, right? So by the time we got to pregnancies 3 and 4, mentally I understood that you're still never prepared for the pain. Like mentally, you can know what's about to happen. You can know, okay, just like take your breath because this epidural is coming at you. You know what I mean? Like you can know they're about to cut you open, but you you don't memorize the pain. You know what I mean? It still hurts, and I have a very high threshold for pain. I think by the time it came to the fourth child, I don't know that I had any medication because I don't really like taking medication. Oh, but baby, when I tell you, when they say, here, take these Vicodin, they not finna just prescribe you because I need you to understand how strong Vicodin and morphine and oxycodone and ibuprofen, 800 milligrams, they ain't just prescribing that type of stuff because you got a headache. If they're prescribing that to you, that is relative to the level of pain they know you are going to be in. You understand? And so my advice for you is, especially if you don't have a support system, take it. Use it as often as you need to because your body just went through a whole hurricane, tornado, tsunami, all of that metaphorically. Okay. And so don't feel like it's something wrong with you. You're less than, you're weak because you have to take this medication. Baby, it's not like you just choosing to go take it. Your body went through something. And so give yourself that grace. And so again, anybody who's listening, I'm talking to you all the way I wish I would have had somebody talk to me, because being somebody who is an overachiever, a perfectionist, a lot of times, again, in those years in my 20s too, like I was, standards was way up here. You know what I mean? And I internalized everything. This ain't got nothing to do with you. It legitimately does not. It does not make you less of a woman. It don't mean you did something wrong. You don't owe any apologies. Like, you just want to take care of you, because that baby or those babies, they are going to need you. Okay. So do whatever you need to do. Like, if you can afford it and you can, so if you don't naturally have a support system, baby, hire one. Get some nannies. I understand. And let me tell you, this is coming from somebody who couldn't afford it. And even if I could in those days, I probably wouldn't have, because my mentality, the way I thought about it was all wrong. I didn't understand. You know what I mean? You only know what you know until you know something different. And I thought it was a reflection of me and my capabilities, right? Jacked up thinking. Don't go through that. Don't punish yourself. If you got people saying to you, oh, girl, I'll come in, I don't even care if they say for a couple hours, take them up on that offer, because your body needs it. Even if mentally you might say, I'm not tired, your body needs to be able to rest. What you don't want to have happen, I don't know if they still call it a, what was it called? Like a not a reset. What was it called? So basically, because it happened to me one time, when so like you have stitches and stuff, but again, the way that they do surgeries now is so much more advanced technologically, where so many things I went through, it's probably not even a thing anymore. But you don't want it to happen where you pull a stitch, where something, you know what I mean? And those things can happen if you're moving too much before you're supposed to be, if you're lifting too much before you're supposed to be, then you can literally have a I don't want to call it a relapse. I don't know why like having um I'm having a brain fart right now. I can't remember what I'm saying, but I can't remember the word. I mean, but anyway, you don't want that to happen to you, where you then, because if you get opened up and then you have to get stitched back again, it starts that time all over again. You know what I mean? So if you got somebody, I don't care if you got somebody saying, hey, I might not be good with kids, but I can make you meals. Accept them, because that's one less thing that you have to do. If somebody's offering to wash your clothes, let them. If somebody is saying, well, I can sit here with the baby for 2 hours while you now, say yes and thank you. Let, even if I'm not saying that you got to let your baby go outside the house. If you don't trust us, have them lay in the bed with you while the baby is in the bassinet or whatever. You know what I mean? And when I say lay in the bed with you, y'all, please understand it's on the up and up. So they sit at the foot of the bed and you laying down, taking your nap. If you have a problem or a trust issue where you don't want them to leave the room, still let them sit in the room with you and you go to sleep. Okay. Like, these, it does not make you less of a woman. It don't mean there's something wrong with you. It don't make you incompetent, incapable. What it means is that you understand that you need to be at your best. And if you're constantly being stretched on, and again, ask me how I know. I wish that I would have had that support system in place. I wish, like, by the time it got to daughter 4, I think I did have that. But them first few, and those were not the only children that I had. In addition to the children that I gave birth to, I also had, I call her my bonus daughter, my goddaughter, and my nephew's son. So at one point in my house, I had 7 children that I was raising. That's not even talking about my other nieces and nephews that were always over to the house. So when all of that demand is on you, when I say rest when you can, when I say sit down when you can, see, now people don't have to tell me nothing, because I've lived through what happens when you don't. So now I totally understand. Like, and it was not that I was saying initially, so when it first started, it was not that I was saying, oh, I can do everything myself. No, I wanted help. I just didn't have help. By the time we got to babies 2 and 3, it was like, well, I just got to make the adjustment. You know what I mean? And so by the time it got to number 4, the other children I had raised, now they've gotten older, so they can help more. Now, I got a couple people here and there that's able to come in and they can. I let them. I let them. I started reallocating tasks. So instead of me having to be the one to cook, to clean, to do the grocery shopping, to wash, no, no. Somebody else take this, somebody else take this, because I done put in the work. You understand what I'm saying? And so, to all of my first time mothers, or maybe you're not a first time mother, maybe you've gone through this before and you're wondering if it's okay to mentally adjust, if it's okay to accept help, if it's okay. It's okay, just in case you needed somebody to give you permission, because maybe you don't have a support system, and so all you have are just the thoughts in your head, and you don't know if you should listen to yourself. Let yourself tell yourself that you are important too, that you matter too, that you need help too. And getting a baby here, can I just say this as I'm bringing this show to a close? Like, can we remember that this is literally a life or death situation? When you are giving birth, do you know how many women have not, they didn't leave that birthing table? Okay. Like, so many women's lives were sacrificed to have their children. And I think that in this day and age, we make light of childbirth. We make it seem like, oh, it's no big deal. It's a big deal. You're literally putting your life on the line. With my last daughter, I coded on the table, and thank God they brought me back to life. Thank God. My doctors, as he was doing the surgery, was talking about how flimsy my uterus was. When so after we had her and she got here, whatever, he immediately, when they're doing a follow up and everything, he immediately let me know, you cannot have any more children. He literally said to me like this: if you have another child, you will die. He said, I don't know how you carry this baby to term. There is no way, your uterine wall, it was not strong enough to carry a baby to term. And that baby was 8 pounds and 8 ounces that he's talking about, my last daughter. He said, I don't understand how you were able to carry her. There is no way your uterus was so flimsy. There is no way you should have been able to carry that baby to term. If you get pregnant again, you will die. Do you hear me? That's literally what he said to me. And some people would say, oh, well, he didn't have bedside manner. I needed that. That's how I talk to people. That's how I receive best. Because had he tried to find a metaphoric way to say it to me, then I might not have really understood the severity of it. So after my fourth child, I had to, work things so that I would not get pregnant again, because it's like, yeah, I might have wanted to have a lot of children, but by this point, I'd already given birth 4 times. And so there was 6, 4, 3, and now I had this baby. So you got enough children that needs you, plus the other children that you're responsible for, plus nieces and nephews. You know what I mean? Like, so it would have been irresponsible slash selfish of me to just keep on getting pregnant, understanding what was on the line. Because if I would have ended up not heeding to what my doctor said, now I got all these babies that wouldn't have a mother. You know what I mean? So the point just is that when you become a mother, your life literally does not belong to you anymore. I mean, technically it does, but it's really you begin making sacrifices, and the choices that you make. Because let me just say this: the greatest sacrifice, at least one of them that you're making, is when you go through and not just come to full term, but when you lay down on that table. And if you've never had a baby, you can't say nothing about this. So, yeah, I'm talking to men. Y'all can't say nothing about what a woman has to go through because you ain't been there. You don't know what it's like to have your bodies change. You don't know nothing about hormonal imbalance. You don't know nothing about nothing that pertains to giving birth, to having a child, to being pregnant. So this is the time where if there is a man listening, all you want to do is listen. You do not want to even try to respond because even if you are a doctor, you can only come at this from a textbook way. You don't have any type of experience about this. So, to all of my women, I want for you all to be encouraged. Those of you who want to have children, I pray this podcast was not meant to scare you, it was meant to inform you because so many times these books they don't talk about the C-section part. They highlight giving natural birth and how wonderful experience it is when you get to look down at your baby. And yeah, you're happy. Like every time I could feel them extract my baby and I looked at each baby girl, I was so happy because again, the joy that you have for the life that you brought in, it typically it overrides the pain that you're experiencing. You know what I mean? And I remember saying to I remember saying to my doctor after the first C-section, I remember saying to him, I'm never doing this again. And he said, they all say that you'll be back. And sure enough, 2 years later, I was back, and 13 months after that, and 2.5 years later, again after that. Like your body does kind of, once you heal, you don't always remember the level of pain. But I just want to be real with you. As a woman who had multiple C sections, did it hurt? Absolutely. Would I do it again? Absolutely. I mean, medically, I can't, but I'm saying that something happened and I needed to do it again to get my daughters here, I would do it. It's not something that I enjoy, absolutely not. But if that's what is necessary to make sure that I'm able to bring life into this world, then absolutely 100%. I just want to give it to you from a perspective of somebody who has actually gone through it so that you can genuinely know what to expect, so that you can know how to plan, that you need a support system. And even in the event that you're like me and maybe you don't for whatever reason, whether your mother or your family is not connected with you, if you're, single or you're married, but your husband isn't hands on, or for whatever the reason is, at least you come into the situation knowing what it is that you need to do. And can I tell you, you'll be able to do it because you are a woman, which means you are freaking awesome. And so, with that, I thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, if you are not connected with me across social media, I do encourage you to do so. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. You can find and follow me at my name is Tennille. And on YouTube, take that extra second to hit the subscribe button so that you can be connected. And if you listen, after listening to this show, you're like, man, I would really love to be part of this community of women because I need that community, then go to the website, mynameistenil.com, and click on that IGTBAW, I'm glad to be a woman link under communities, and read what comes with being a part of this wonderful community of women, and then consider joining us. But I thank you all so much for tuning in, and I pray that you have a blessed rest of your day.